Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry
Yes.
weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning, and happy Friday. I am so glad this is a wonderful week. But you know what? Every week is a wonderful week, right? Every day is a wonderful day. Every minute is a wonderful minute, and every second of the day is a wonderful second, because we are still here and we're able to create an impact in somebody else's life. And that's what I'm always saying. I'm always telling people that one of the biggest missions that I have, and hopefully everybody else has, is that they are able to create some kind of impact for the gift that they have in them. You know, I'm always talking about the diamond factor. My biggest mission is to make sure, especially women in the category that I work with, is that they understand who they are, what their purpose is, what they should be doing in life. Just not just existing, but they should be doing something that's precious in them that our creator gave us. And then from that point, then I need to give them visibility. And this is one of the platforms, one of the tools that I use to bring the kings and queens, as I call them, to the stage so you can understand who they are, what they're about, and what they do in this lifetime. And then once you get to know them just a little bit, get that relationship going on the show when I bring them on, the kings and queens, then you reach out to them and you say, you know what? I think I want to get to know them more. I think I want to work with them. I think I want to help them. I think I want to collaborate with them. So you know where I'm going with this. Every time I bring on guests, I want to make sure that we listen, we understand who they are, we get to know them. And after that, maybe reach out to them. And even if they can't help you with something, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a minister, maybe it's, a speaker, an author, whoever it is. If there's something you're like, well, I don't know if they can really help me in the area, other people that they might need to help. So there's never excuse to say, well, I'm just going to sit back and not say nothing. No, please make sure you share the wealth. Share the wealth. Now, every morning I try to make sure we start off with some positive, like a quote or some kind of insert that I've been reading. So I want to talk a little bit before I bring on my wonderful, wonderful special guest, is that the power of words. The power of words. It's been really gnawing at me for the last few weeks because I've been going through because I have a day job, as some people know. I have my business and have a day job. And what's so wonderful that I will be going to another position starting in the next 3 weeks. Been at this company for 21 years. 21 years. I decided to say, okay, I'm going to take that. What is the, I forgot who says it. Steve Harvey's always saying, get the parachute and jump. Well, it looks like I'm jumping. I'm jumping after all these years. But then after I did the jump and I decided to do it, and they basically said, okay, you have the position in a whole different team, a whole different department. It's all new, but the same company. Then I hear the sounds of the voices. I hear the sounds of the voices of other people saying things, and some of it is not positive. Go figure, right? And then some of them's not positive, and some of them's coming right from me. Because now I'm feeling like, okay, I've been here 20 something, doing the same thing, and now I'm about to jump into something new. Is this going to be okay? Am I going to be good? And am I going to understand? That kind of comes out. And then the people that come, the little gremlins, I said, saying, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. You're older now. I was like, really? Okay, So I had to get something on words. So never forget how powerful your words are. When you make a promise, it is up to you to make sure those words are scarce. People who keep their promises are regarded as people of integrity, while those who do not keep their promises are regarded as people who cannot be taken seriously. Interesting, right? Promises not kept, lead to disappointment and distrust. Even promises made to yourself must be remembered and kept, or your self-esteem will be suffered. If it is not a possibility to keep a promise, go to the person and offer an alternative. Ask yourself forgiveness. Do the same ritual with promises you make to yourself. Ask yourself for forgiveness for a promise you no longer wish to hold on to. Today, clear your conscience and know that you are only as good as your word. Enjoy your day. I love they always say enjoy your day in this book. Now, I just want people to know, just to be, this is from a wonderful lady. Her name is Mary Ellen, and she wrote this book. I got this book a long time ago. It's called Taking Responsibility, Unleashing True Healing. And I'm telling you, this book has been saving my life in a lot of ways when things go all kind of crazy in life. So really, I was talking about the, naysayers, the people talking crazy, but you have to, when you put your word out there, when you promise, when you say you're going to do something, that's your integrity right there. That's your integrity to say, okay, I'm going to do that. That's why I always tell, before you say yes to something, you need to look at the whole picture of what you're doing, because Once you say yes, that is your bond, that is your word. People are looking at you in a different manner to say, okay, I trust you to do this. Now, I get it, things happen in life, but if you put your word out there, you said you're going to do it, you have to find ways to make sure that you keep that bond. That's unless there's something really, crucial, like you're, getting really sick or in the hospital with somebody. I mean, I understand all that. Emergencies happen. But overall, you can't make excuses because people are trusting you at your word. And they trust you because they're trying to do something. And they're basically looking at you to say, okay, I brought you on here because now I need your help. And if you just go, ghost, as they say, the new word, that they can't get things done. So now you're only just letting them down and what you said you were going to do, then you're letting yourself down at the same time. So with that, enough of me. We are going to bring on our wonderful guests. I love Fridays because I have two guests all the time. And one thing I always tell people, no matter what, I love to bring visibility to the table because it's so important. So I met him through another wonderful lady, Pastor Pauletta, and I'm telling you, I read his bio and I was looking at it and I was like, oh my God, I got a celebrity. I got another celebrity. So I said, I better bring him on, right? So Dr. Brad Johnson. Yes, Dr. Brad Johnson. He's an author. He's a writer. He's a communicator. He is a Bible teacher, loves the Lord, loves Jesus. And right there just got me dancing when I heard that. He has a new book out. He's going to be talking about that because I'm not going to steal his thunder on that. He helps couples, families, business teams develop better, and I love what he does, inner personality communication skills. Don't you think we all need help in communication? I say yes. And just the overall flow of things that he's doing. So before I take his thunder, I want to bring him on, but I got to bring on the King's right. So here we go. We're going to bring on Mr. Dr. Brad. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are you doing, Dr. Brad Johnson?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored for you to have me on your platform this morning.
Oh, the honor is mine. The honor is truly mine. If I can bring on the stars so people can see them shine, that's what I like to do.
All right.
So welcome to the Diamond and Factor Experience Show with myself and yours truly. So Dr. Bradford, before we even start, tell everybody like where you're from. I always like to see because I'm from Wisconsin. So okay. I know I have a global people come on.
Sure. So I am from the East Coast. I am from Richmond, Virginia. And I'm currently still in Richmond, Virginia. I've lived in a couple of different places in Virginia over my lifetime thus far, but I live in Richmond.
Okay. Now that's one place I haven't been yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go visit. Yeah. I told myself just the other day, I said, once, with the pandemic, I know, we're dealing with that right now. But I said, I want to take one of those trips where you just jump in like a little camper or something like that in a car and just like travel to different states. And I might that one going to have to put on my radar. That one I'm definitely put on my radar. Yeah. I always tell people you only live once. You should be able to travel and just get to know different states, different people, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Right. So, Dr. Brad, on the show, the first thing I always ask is, because this is not just an interview, I feel like this is just just talking conversation. And one of the things I always tell people, I read, your author and everything that you do, and you're a communicator. But I know you didn't start that way. So I always tell people, before you're younger, we think of other things, then we get older and we start doing all the big things we have to do. So what made you get to be, where you're at right now?
I think it's a combination of just life experiences. So I grew up not too far from Richmond in a single parent home with my mom and my brother. And so throughout my life, I always grew up surrounded by family, a big family. My mom is one of 10. So I have a lot of cousins and family members, and my grandfather was one of 19. So it's plenty of family everywhere. And so I grew up, and my mom was an educator as well as my dad, even though they weren't together anymore. My dad and my mom were both educators. So I went to school. Then I went to a HBCU, Norfolk State University. And I graduated from there. And I found while I was in college, I gave my life to the Lord. I grew up in church, but I don't consider myself to be, at that time, I didn't have an understanding of what it meant to be a believer. And so when I got to college, I actually say that I met the Lord. I had an encounter with God that forever changed my life. And from that point on, I graduated from college. I got my first little job, my first little apartment, and I stayed in Virginia Beach for about 10 years. And I met my wife there. That was at ODU University, which is in the same city as Norfolk State University, and then got married and was living life. And then we moved. The Lord told us to move back to Richmond, and so we did. And we now we have a son. And so many. Those are the clip notes, but so many other experiences, so many other things that have transpired. I went on to get my master's and my doctorate, and to build a life here, and to even my wife and I about 8 years ago planted a church here, so we're pastors as well. And so it's been a journey.
Oh yeah, oh my God, we just like whoosh went through all that. That is wow. So at the beginning, I know you mentioned that also your mother was an educator too. So did that kind of like motivate you to kind of say, I want to get into more of the education aspect and kind of really understand more about that?
Well, yes, I think that that my father and my mom were both special education teachers, right? And so for me, mine is a little bit different. So I think that there's a teacher in me based on that and all that, but just in a different way. So where they went into the traditional education route, mine is more around not only teaching the Word of God, but also I'm a communications practitioner. So that's my field of study, where I help people or teach people to develop better interpersonal communication skills, whether it's in a couple, like in a relationship, or whether it's among a family or it's a business team. Because if we don't have the right communication, nothing we'll do is ever going to prosper. It's not going to be productive, whether we're dating somebody, married to somebody, raising kids, or if we are working in a department together. If we can't communicate, if I can't understand you and you can't understand me, then there's nothing that we're going to be able to accomplish that really amounts to anything.
Yes, definitely. I so love what you do, because it is so, I've been noticing that too, because I'm also, I speak and and I'm a leader in different areas, not just on my job during the day, but my business. And I find out a lot of times, just meeting people, talking to people, because we're all going to be different. We have different personalities. And in order to kind of come together and say, okay, let's work together. And you might be thinking one thing and they're thinking something else. And then there's kind of, so with that, just with that example, how do you because I know you deal with couples and business people, how do you first start off when you're working with people with the communication?
So for me, the first step is to figure out what the goal is, right? So if you're saying that we need help with our interpersonal communication, how you always ground someone is the goal of what you're trying to get to. So for a married couple, if you're saying the goal is for us to stay together, then that means that if that's the goal, that no matter what we discuss in our sessions together during the time that we're together, then we always have to keep that in mind, because that's what's going to drive us to make the changes necessary. The same thing with the business team. What is the goal? Why are we trying to improve our communication? Well, we're not being as productive. We keep losing team members. Okay, so if the goal is to keep team members and to be productive and work together towards whatever the department goal is, then that means that should ground us in what our changes need to be. And so if we are saying that this is the goal, then when we try to go off on a tangent or we resist change, that goal should always bring us back. You said that the goal is for you all to stay together. So nothing should be off limits as far as changing. If this person is saying, hey, the way that you talk to me, it doesn't work for me, it doesn't honor me, I don't desire that type of communication anymore. But so if the person said, well, I'm not going to change, well, you said the goal was to stay together. And your partner is telling you that if you don't change, you're not going to stay together. So you have to look at it. Hey, do I want the goal or do I want to keep my own way? And so when you ground people in a goal, then they're able to make decisions of whether they're willing to change. And it reveals the heart. It reveals what's really there, because you said this is the goal at the beginning, but when we get into the thick of it, when we get into the meat of what's going on between in the relationship, we find that sometimes people are more resistant to change, and though they want the goal, they don't want it enough to change. And of course, life is about change, and if we're not willing to change it, there's it's very few great and productive relationships that we can have.
Yes, definitely. I love, Dr. Brad, that you're talking about, the main goal. Because I always tell people, if it's a goal or what I'm trying to say, objective, whatever, put that on the way top. If you even got to write on a piece of paper, and then every time things happen, then you look at, okay, now what was the goal again? What was
Right.
the objective again? Let's keep moving forward to that. Now I know there's a lot of times where some maybe and just to let me know some aspects where things work out and you're explaining that this is the goal and we're good to go, but then there might be some times where no matter what you say, you might still get resistance. Has that happened in certain instances that you deal with?
It has. And my question, I'm a realist, and I don't believe in my time being wasted or wasting other people's time. And so my when I'm meeting with any of my clients, I always say that if at any time you don't want to do this anymore, we don't have to do this anymore, right? Because if the goal is that we would reach the goal that we set as in our meeting time and our session time, if you're resistant to that to the point where you're unwilling to go any further, then there's no need for us to keep meeting, right? Because if you're resistant to change, then there's nothing that anyone can do to change. God doesn't even change our mind. He gives us all free will. And if we're unwilling to address the heart of the issue, the root of the issue, and make adjustments, then it's not productive for us to meet at all. And so when I encounter that, I try to get to the reason of why you're resistant to change. But after that, if you're still I'm not willing to adjust, I'm not willing to bend, I'm not willing to learn a new way, then there's really no need to meet, because this relationship is not going to be productive, because there's not two people. In order for a relationship to work, an interpersonal relationship to work and to thrive, it has to be two people mutually willing to examine themselves, examine the situation, and make the proper adjustments.
Yes. And like you said, make that commitment. It's funny you're just saying that, because before I started off, I was, reading a passage where talking about your words and how it's important that, you make those commitments, you say what you're going to do and you do it, because people are looking at you saying, okay, now you're putting your word out there, you're putting your bond, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do that. Then you turn around and say, well, you know what? It ain't working out. I'm done. Then it's like, well, wait a minute. Put all this time and effort, you're done. Wait, what's going on with this? I thought we could work some things out. And I always tell people too, if that other individual or team member or what have you, if they really they just can't do it anymore, I have to say, okay, then we agree to disagree and we move forward. And I love what you said, Dr. Brad, is you can't waste people's time. Don't waste everybody's time.
Absolutely.
Time is of the essence, as I tell people. So if you're not willing, let's just kind of move on to the next level, like you said.
Right.
Definitely. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about, because I know you have a book, Hard Conversation Book 1. I think it's Breadcrumbs to the Past.
Right.
Yes, tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So this is my new book that just came out. It's the first book in my urban fiction series. So as I stated earlier, I'm a communications practitioner. So everything that I pretty much do is from that slant. So it is a collection of short stories. It's about 5 urban people who have got a level of success in life. But they keep finding breakdown in their relationships. They keep finding that it's almost like a glass ceiling is over them, that though they have accomplished great things and they have all this money, or they have all this measure of success in their different fields, they keep feeling like something is holding them back. They keep feeling as though I've done all these things, I'm still not happy. Though I've accomplished this, I still feel like I can't get to the level of peace that I want. And what they discover in this throughout their story is that that there's something that has happened in their past that is holding them back from their future. And so throughout them retelling their story in the book, they discover that in order for me to move forward, I have to have a hard conversation. And so basically they begin to piece together that I need to go back to a person or people that have damaged me, that I've had a traumatic experience with in my past, and have a hard conversation. Because in life, a lot of times as people, especially as urban people, as Black people, we know how to survive almost anything, right? We can get through it. We can get to the other side of the river and all of that. But what happens is we don't realize the pieces of us that we've lost along the way. And so it's only when we begin to move into other interpersonal relationships that we discover that, wait a minute, I was wounded here. And so now the new people in our life keep getting hit with the old resistance of what happened to us in our past. And sometimes we can give up on relationships or healing without even addressing it. And so it's important for us to have those hard conversations. It could be with a loved one. It could be with someone that we knew growing up. It could be with someone in our life currently. We have to be willing to have hard conversations. Those are conversations that may not be telling the other person that they're wonderful. It may be just, and really what you're doing is articulating your experience, that this is what, when you did this, this is how it affected me, and this is how it made me feel. Because in order for us to move forward, we can't just survive it. We got to heal from it. And so there's a lot of times in life that we have put things under the rug, right? And so to speak, we put it under the rug. But eventually what happens is we trip over the rug in the middle of the floor. And so what we have to do is not just sweep it under the rug and say, no, I'm all right, I made it through it, wipe our brow and say, I made it through it. No, I have to unpack what happened to me. I have to articulate my experience, even if the other person is not receptive to what I'm saying. I have a right to articulate my story. And so the book is a fictional book about 5 people from different walks of life from all over the country that have had experiences in their past that are hindering their present. And so in order for them to move forward into their future, this is just the first book. So it's not going to wrap up the story. It's just the first book in the series. The next book will be out next year in 2022.
Oh, well, congratulations on doing that.
Thank you.
Much needed, because, well, just a little unpack a little bit what you said. You're so right. When we're so busy fixing, doing things, moving forward, saying, okay, we got this. Okay, we got to keep going. We don't step back and really just absorb and say, okay, I had to deal with something right now. There was something that hurt. There was something that was painful. There was something that I had to, get through. But I didn't take a chance to really just take a step back. And I know for myself, and like you said, urban people ourselves, we're used to just moving and saying, okay, that happened. Okay, let's keep on. That happened too. Okay, that happened. Let's keep on, And just this year, just to give you an example of that, Dr. Brad, for the COVID, in 3 months last year, I lost 13 family members in the 3 months time from COVID.
Condolences.
And I'm telling you, it was just like I was getting back-to-back calls, back-to-back texts. Oh, here's another one. Oh, our cousin, this. And I was to the point where I was looking at this phone. I was like, I don't even want to look at the cell phone no more. I don't want to hear a phone call. And I did that. I was going a little to avoidance because I was like, okay, if I let this keep going, what I'm trying to do here is just going to stop, period, because I'm just going to just totally just like scream. Which I did at the end. I finally did the screaming because I needed to that. And like you said, I was so busy trying to say, okay, there's another one. Okay, I got it. Then something. I mean, even one time, I think I got 5 phone calls in one day about deaths in the family. And I just told myself, I said, okay, either Barbara, you're going to, just keep this going, keep doing what you're doing, or you're going to take this and let it kind of really just get into you and say, okay, let me take this in. And then with COVID and stuff, we couldn't go, at that time, couldn't go to the funerals and everything. It was like, virtual and everything like that. So I didn't let it get to me towards that 13th one. And I noticed that within my business that I was working during the day, things were kind of taking a toll, like little things that used to didn't bother me or whatever was kind of bothering me. Certain projects, I was like, what, I don't even want to look at that thing anymore. I don't want to. And I knew that it was me now trying to unpack things that was happening that I didn't get a chance to really say to myself, okay, Barbara, just like you said in your book, I need to take a step back and say, okay, I got to deal with this now, because now it's interfering in different areas. Then I got to the point I was yelling at one of my cousins for no reason and no reason at all. I was like, okay, where's this even coming from? And she said, because of what you're dealing with, that you didn't deal with.
And that's a perfect point that I bring out a little bit in the book as well, is that what happens is when we don't deal with what has happened to us, even, and it doesn't mean that it's something that was life, that wasn't devastating, it was things that just affected you in a negative way. What happens is the people that now come into our life pay for our pain. And we don't have the right to make anybody else pay for our pain, because what happens is, it's not the people that traumatize us that we now are not in relationship with, that pay the price for what they did to us, or what experience we had with them. It's the new people that come. It's the new coworkers that come. It's the people that stay that pay the price for our pain. And that's why we weren't created to carry. We're created to address and cast. And so when we don't do that, what happens is we cause the people that are really trying to love us, that are really trying to work with us, that are really trying to be in our lives, they pay the price for our pain. And that's not fair. And that's not anybody else's responsibility. So that's another thing that comes out in the book. There's also a song that I wrote that came along with the book that's out now as well. It's called You're Real. And it's out on all platforms as well. It is just a song inspired by the book, because I write music for myself and other artists as well, and so I put that out as well. But that's a sum up of the book. It's a fiction, or like people always ask me, is this somebody's story? It sounds like you talking about yourself, and no, it's completely not my story or anybody that's in my family story. It's just literally the story. I'll say that it's nobody's story, but it's everybody's story, because I guarantee that it'll touch a piece of something that you've experienced or know someone that has experienced, and hopefully it'll prompt you to go back and have the hard conversation, whether it's with a mom or a brother or a sister or a boss or a coworker. It could be something as simple as telling them, hey, at work, I don't appreciate the way that you talk to me, right? Because sometimes we write people off without giving them the opportunity to adjust their behavior, because we want to address it. We'll just go, say, I'm just going to let it go. But you letting it go creates a dynamic in the relationship that you have with them. You have to address it. You don't have to be nasty. We can be kind as we address it, but just say, hey, that doesn't work for me. The way you talk to them, don't talk to me that way. And then you're giving them the opportunity to rise to the standard that you set for your life.
Yes. Some good nuggets, Dr. Brad. I love when you said, don't write people off, give the opportunity to have that conversation. And a lot of times, I'm just going to admit, sometime back in the past, I didn't do that. I would see somebody, talking to me crazy or whatever, as I say, crazy, or talking me down or whatever. I'll be like, okay, that's them. That's me. I can't deal with that. I'm moving forward. Because, I'm in that positivity zone. To me, they're like the opposite. I was like, nope, I don't do the opposite. But now I say, okay, wait a minute. Before I just totally just go, whoop, you're gone. Like, be gone, like I say sometimes. I kind of say, let me have that conversation. Let me see what's going on. Maybe something that I said and I didn't even realize it. And there's a reason why they're saying something the way they are. Maybe they interpret something wrong that I said. So see, then that starts to come out. And then that's if you have the conversation, you find that out sometimes.
But most people, we don't like conflict or the appearance or the potential for conflict. So we won't, and a lot of times it's all in our own minds, because we think if we talk about it, they're gonna go off, or it's gonna escalate and all that. But at the same time, a lot of times it's all in our minds. We made it up. And having the hard conversation with people, most times it'll come to a resolution. Of course, there are some hard heads or some knuckleheads that are stuck in their own way. But most people in our life that we've known, especially for any period of time, if we were to come to them and tell them, they will be apologetic, and we could come to some resolution. Maybe, like you said, I misunderstood it, or they misunderstood it, or they thought I was being obnoxious to them in conversation, even though I may not, or my body language was wrong. And until you get, the Bible says, in all that getting, get an understanding. Until you get an understanding, there'll continue to be drama in our lives, right? But when you have the hard conversation and say, hey, I felt like you were doing this, is that accurate? And then you give them opportunity to explain themselves, and there could be a resolution. But if you don't talk about it, we walk away having an opinion of people that may not be reality.
Yeah. And you can miss out, I found out, on opportunities because you didn't get a chance to make those conversations and talk to them and really just get that out.
Absolutely.
I mean, just, how sometimes you can just, I don't know you, but sometimes I have to say back in the past, because I've been trying to get better with this, is you can be like at a networking function or whatever, talking to people, and you see certain people, they don't have to say anything, but just the way their manner, like they look like they're, their face expression or something, look kind of mean or whatever, just straightforward. And you
Mhm.
like, oh, I better not talk to them. They look like they
Right,
upset.
right, right, right,
But it's
right,
not, it's most of the time they're just really just, trying to either understand what's going on or, they're into whatever. But we take that, we, like you said, we run with it.
right.
And then you never know who you're missing out on meeting somebody, because just because of the body language, you're like, no, that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know there's some things coming up for you. One is the Right Story Live workshop in October. You want to talk a little bit
Yes.
about
So I have a workshop that I'm doing for independent authors, where basically it's going to be in October the 25th, Monday, October the 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is an event that independent authors or published authors can register for. Right now, you can head to my website, bjcommunicates.com, which is my pen name, bjcommunicates.com, and you can register. And basically, it's where we're teaching independent authors how to choose their genre, how to effectively spend their money, because when you're independent is your budget. There is no big publishing house giving you the money to put your book out, and also where you should focus as far as promotion, advertising, and the pursuit of partnerships. And so I had done this workshop. The Black Writers Guild of Maryland had me to come in and do this workshop a couple of weeks ago. And it was so effective. And I got so many different emails about and responses about how well it was for that group of writers that I decided to do it again. And so I am going to be doing this. It's totally virtual, so you don't have to, no one has to go anywhere. You can do it from the comfort of your home. And it won't be, it's not a whole day session. It maybe be an hour or two, but I'll be going over some things that are pivotal for any independent author, no matter what genre you're in. And when it comes to writing, how to be effective. A lot of times, I don't think anybody puts out a book and does not want it to be successful. And so because of that, it's just it's only $37. And it's just a workshop that you can attend to get the resources and information, like you said, to share information with those in your circle and outside of your circle that are trying to do something productive and do something that they feel God has put in their heart to do. And so it's a workshop that's, again, virtually all online. It's called The Right Story, WRITE, The Right Story. You can register at bit.ly/the right, WRITE story. And you go there to register, or you can visit my website as well. And then, and so it's going to be a great time. It's going to be interactive. So I ask questions. I'm not a workshop facilitator that just does all the talking. No, I stop at every juncture. I want people's feedback, because it's going to be a great time, because we as a collective unit make it a great time. So if you're an independent author, or if you're an aspiring author and you want to know, how can I get my book out there? How can I do it independently and actually see some traction? Then this is the workshop for you.
Oh, awesome. I'm going to register. I have to register quick.
Absolutely.
I'm loving
Absolutely.
it. I mean, I've done it through collaboration books I've been in, but it's always good to get that information, especially like you said, to move and get more insight. I
Right.
learn from so many different people on different. So Dr. Brad, thank you for putting that out and creating an impact to help others so they can understand how to get their stories out there. Because like
No
you said, you
problem.
just don't write a book just to write. You're doing it for a reason, and you
Right.
want people to hear it, and so they can, grow and get something out of it. So
Right.
just let everybody know, I put his, there's no excuse. His website is there. And in the website, you can go down below, because I just looked at it again. There's a little thing where it says The Right Story Live Workshop, and there's a little button you can press. I always got to walk them through this, Dr. Brad.
That's all right.
The press, and then you can pay for it. $37, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful investment. I know it's worth much, much more, but he is being so gracious to everybody right now. So just go to his website and just basically just collaborate and work with people that's going to bring you to another level in life. And I know Dr. Brad Johnson will do that. With that said, I always ask my guests, I always got to take myself down for a few seconds just to give, so I can give you just any last thoughts that you want to give the listeners. So I'm going to take myself down and I'll be right back.
Okay. So thank you all again for tuning into this wonderful platform. So just a few thoughts that I will leave with you for today, that you are valuable, and it is very important for you to articulate your experience. I know that sometimes we're afraid of who will lose if we tell our story, if we articulate how we really feel about the situation, but you have to risk losing them to find you. And so I just encourage you to articulate your story. We can do it in a way that is productive. We can be kind and still articulate how what has happened to us has made us feel. And we can articulate even in the moment that, hey, this doesn't work for me anymore. Because sometimes we don't get what we want in life because we don't open our mouth and express exactly what it is that we desire, we require, and we can tolerate. And so I would encourage all of you to articulate your experience in a productive way, find the healing that you need in your heart, and do what the dream that God has put in your heart, go after it, right? Go after it with wisdom, go after it with knowledge, and go after it with all of your intention and all of your heart. And so I'm so thankful for being here. I'm so thankful you can get my new book everywhere the online books are sold, Hard Conversations. And I want to thank Miss Beckley for having me on her platform today. And I hope that you all have a great weekend.
Awesome, Dr. Brad. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad you showed your book. I always tell people, show
Yep.
that. You be proud of that because you took a lot of things. There you go. There you go. So with that, so hopefully we gotta bring you back. I always like to bring back our special guests. So you're always teaching, especially with communication. You're in my field. I love it. I love it. So with that, I wish you well, and I wish you and your lovely wife and son blessings upon blessings, because you are still an impact in this world. And
thank you so much.
Let everybody else know again, please. I'm going to put it up here one more time for Dr. Brad. Reach him. This is his website. Like I said, please, now is the action to take. Now I tell people, now you listen to the conversation, you got to know Dr. Brad, you see how awesome he is. Now go and take the next step and invest with him. And with that, Dr. Brad, I'll see you soon, and you take care.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Matthew.
Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm so excited and really feel the positive energy and just so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm more excited due to the fact that this has been prolonged. Because like I said, I'm open and honest, and it's all my fault. I'm just going to put it out there. But just you being who you are and being so gracious to say, okay, Barbara, I can do it. I can fit you in my schedule in September.
I couldn't miss it for the world. So excited.
I am too. I was just telling the ladies, I said, you need to see this show because Matthew's coming on. They said, Matthew, I said, he's a producer and an actor and he's just a nice guy. And they like, oh my God, yeah, you need to come on. I said, did I tell you that he's a celebrity? But thank you so much, Matthew, for coming on the Diamond Factory Experience show. As I said earlier, this is a show basically to get to know the special guests and understand and get the visibility out there. So I really believe in that. As you can see, I get so excited when I talk about visibility and just get, because that's the thing. I mean, people won't know you unless you're not, saying things are out there. So yeah, so I was looking at your bio, and then I brought up last night a video of all your videos, what you do for your directing stuff, and I was like, oh my God. I said, he has been doing some things. And at the age of 15, congratulations. I love it. I love it. You are such a motivation piece for the young people. I mean, in that area. So you can let them know that, they can do that. So enough of me, because I can be talking. This is all about you. This is all about you. So first, Matthew, I always ask, like I said earlier, we just don't get started in this kind of stuff. Like I wasn't just boom, and I was this TV streaming show that I'm doing. I mean, it took a lot. I mean, I was a very shy person. I don't know if you knew that, but very shy. I was, and I know people think I make that up, but I don't. It's true. I was a very shy individual, and I'm glad I busted out finally. But I want to know from you, kind of like you said, age of 15, like I said, but where did you kind of just get this, that you wanted to be to this point in your life?
So it started off in high school. More so middle school. I was making videos on Facebook. I started off making like videos of me playing the guitar, and then eventually when I hit 9th grade in high school, I started making, videos, me playing video games, and I didn't think anything much of it until my mom ended up buying me a camcorder one year for Christmas. And me and my best buddy, we decided, let's make something of it. So we put together our own short film. It was 9th grade, 10th grade, Nerf guns, no budget, nothing at all. And we just had a lot of fun. It's actually still on YouTube now. It's called Intense Battles. It was like a 3-part, 10-minute film. And we were just having a lot of fun. And we were like, you know what? This is pretty cool. Walking away with the explosions on the camera and stuff. It was pretty cool. So we stuck with it. And we are where we are now. It just took a lot of time, patience, and just eventually the whole mission, for the brand that I started, Ranium Films, because I know a lot of people pronounce it Ranium Films. So Ranium Films, it's called. The whole mission of that, I started when I was younger, just to have fun making films, and over time, it just turned into something a lot deeper than that. Growing up, having this passion for videos and just making videos in general, I realized that it's really hard for people to get themselves out there. And unless you make your own content, and really push for yourself to get out there, it's really difficult. So the whole mission now for this brand is just to give other people the opportunity to showcase their talent on, this platform. And, if you're a music artist, we'll put your music in there. If you're another filmmaker trying to get started, just like I did at 15, we welcome all skill sets, any experience, and we're just here to have fun. That's the overall goal.
Wow. Well, a lot to unpack here, but first of all, I'm glad. See, this shows me at a young age, and when you have wonderful parents that sees the potential and starts giving you little things to get you heightened into maybe what you're going to do when you get older. When you said that your mother gave you the little camcorder and stuff, and you just started, just loving it, seeing that this was something of maybe a passion of yours, you and your friend. And 15, you just gotta say, let's make this, let's just do this, have fun. And it sounded like you were just having fun. And you created this video that popped up and got your juices flowing, it sounded like, to that point. And I like how you talked about too that a lot of people, and I always run into people too, like, well, I don't want to be on video. I don't look the part, all that kind of stuff.
I was
And
like
you hear that, and you was like, I can't believe you was like that, Matthew. You was really like that, really?
believe it or not, my first few videos, every time I was editing it, I was like, man, I really don't like the way my voice sounds in this. Let me re-record it. I don't like the way I look in this. But now it's just, it is what it is.
It's funny we get to oh, I don't like the voice, or I don't look right, or oh, my shirt is not right.
Yeah,
or,
that's exactly how it
where
was.
this people come from, or
Yeah.
my glasses don't look like. And then all of a sudden, as time goes by, you like, it is what it is. Hey,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe you can attest to this too, maybe, is that it gets to a point when your passion and your purpose in life is so strong that everything, I hate to say the little things, but the things that don't really matter too much
Right.
kind of moves to the side, and you're like, okay, there's a bigger purpose here, and I need to show up. And I think that's what you have done. Like I said, I've seen a lot of the videos and the pictures that you were in as being a director, a producer of the certain shows that you've done, and you have showed up, Matthew. I mean, I'm telling you, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, how did I get to this? And I have to thank Kimberly for this, because she's the one that introduced me to you. I mean, your family.
Yeah.
And I'm getting her on the show too. I want to surprise you and have her come, but I know she was busy. But
that would've been great.
I'm so glad that she introduced me to you, because just showing how you show up, what you do, as all, like I said, you're a triple threat. I mean, you're a director, producer, and you act. So with all those three, Matthew, how do you kind of juggle that? I was just going to ask you.
So it's not easy. So currently I work a full-time job, and I, just working at my full-time day job, and then coming back home to sit on my computer and then be like, okay, I have requests to make films, like edit people's films. It's rough. So it's just a lot of time management. Like as soon as I come from my day job, I come home, I go on my computer first thing, do what I have to do. Takes a couple hours, maybe get a couple hours of sleep every night. Then trying to maintain, my relationship, just relationships in general. But over time, just incredibly, thankful for the opportunities that I've had over time, especially meeting certain people along the way, which helped build that resume that I have now. In terms of just juggling everything, I would say it is a lot of time management. It's not easy, and I hope that whoever sees this video, that it would be an inspiration that doesn't matter the age. I'm nowhere where I want to be now, but I am grateful for where I am now. But it doesn't matter the age, that you can get started as long as you have the passion and drive to stay up those late nights, edit a film. Maybe on a weekend when you have off from your day job during the week, go out to the city and film a couple, film a movie for, a few hours, and then come home, try to spend some time with your family. It's just a lot of that. And, I'm just looking at the long term, the bigger picture. It's a lot of time sacrifice now, but I know in the long run, hopefully, main priority now is just reaching out to especially the younger audience, making sure, just want them to be motivated and just see this as an opportunity to just work on their passion. And if that guy can do it, I can do it also.
Yes. And like I said earlier, Matthew, you are giving hope. You're like I always say, we the lighthouses of the world. So you give that light to others. You really do. To say, you know what, he can do it. He worked hard. He grind. Maybe if I do something similar, I go to school, whatever need to be done, that I can get to that level in my life too. So you give them that hope. You give them that light, that little light that sometimes you're in the dark and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And
then you see Matthew and you be like, okay, he did it. He's telling me the way. Maybe I could do it too. So I'm loving that, man. Now you said some things that me and you are in the same boat. Because I do have a day job too.
Yes.
And then as soon as that's over with, it's like bing, straight to my business, straight to what I do here. And it's it's more than a notion. I tell
Yeah,
people,
that's
I'm
it.
not going to sit there and be like, oh, we just, I mean, some days, but it's some work. You have to, and then trying to get, like you said, what you say, sleep.
Is that even a thing? Some days I come home and I'm just like, oh, gotta edit again. But you know what? I love it, and just like you love this, and the impact that you have in the community that watches your content, even me watching it, it's working. So
Thank you.
that's all we can do.
Thank you so
Just
much.
keep working.
And we got to work together. I always say, I mean, we have our own individual businesses and lanes. I get that. I understand that. But I love how, I'm able to bring all the other experts and people in like yourself as a special guest and stuff and say, come on, let's share this platform and let's build it together and then help others out there instead of being in your own island. I can't stand that. I hate when people say, well, I'm just going to be over here doing my little thing. I'm like,
I don't like that at all.
how do you make it harder for you?
There's a lot of people like that. And with the film industry and with just things in general that I noticed, going through it is there's a lot of people that are in these types of industries for themselves. And they have a lot of knowledge that they don't really want to share. A quick story. I remember there was a set that I walked on, from the blue, saw a couple film trucks there, and it was me and my fiance. We drove. When I see a film going on, I know it. You see the big trucks, you see the food, you see everything. I saw the cones. I was like, let's just park here, and I'm just gonna take a walk over there, just see what's going on, see if maybe I can, meet somebody or get my name out there. And that's what I did. So I remember there being a couple of, I'm not sure if they were production assistants or actors. And me being my curious self, I asked one of them, so listen, my name is Matthew. I'm trying to get to your level. How did you do it? Just out of curiosity. And the guy that I asked told me, screw off, figure it out on your own. I got to where I am now, and I'm not sharing that information with anybody.
OMG.
I'm realizing there's, and I just don't want to be that. When I felt that experience for the first time, and that really hit me, I was like, man, if I was in his shoes, the last thing I would want to do is, tell somebody that, I want to be able to share and help other people. And that's where the mission for me became a little more personal. I just, I learned from that experience that I want to be able to share the knowledge that I have. So for the people that do take it, great. Hopefully it works for them. For the people that don't, then that's okay too. But I just want to be able to share what I learn along the way, because I know, hopefully it would help somebody, grow and expand their knowledge and, work towards the goal that they want.
Yeah. I am so glad you have just such a kind heart, Matthew. I'm glad that you've seen that at the beginning, because like you said, when people close like that, close the door, especially for somebody that's young too. I don't know, this is a key point for me. If there's somebody, I'm older than I'm much older than you, but I always say to myself, if I can take the nuggets that I've learned and spread them along the youth, to me, that just puts a smile on my face and my heart, because hopefully that's helping them get to that level that they want to get to. Not shutting the door. Well, said I did it, so now you got to learn the same way I do. Ha ha ha. I'm like, really? What is that? But I'm glad that you've seen that and said, you know what, I want to do the opposite of that. When I get to a point where, like right now, you're in celebrity status, like right now, I want people to understand that I'll be there to help you. If you want to have I call it an informational interview. And I'm just to put it out there to everybody else. That's really important. You can get the knowledge from people just saying, hey, I look at you as a mentor. I see you, Matthew, as doing your thing. Can we have like maybe a 15-minute informational interview with you so I can just understand, so I can move where I need to go? And I think a lot of people might really appreciate that, because they see that you see, that they see you as that expert. So just to give just a little tip, just for the listeners out there too, that, reach out to, Matthew's, a little bit more time, but reach out to Matthew. And he, like he said, he's willing to talk, and you never know, you might be, maybe an actor, actress or something.
Always looking for people.
Yeah, you never know.
Always.
You might flow into that.
Always looking for actors, actresses. Always.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, I was going to ask you, because I've seen some of the movies that you kind of do look like police type of thing and action, which I love action-packed movies.
It's my favorite.
I love them. But give us a little, just a little background of where you got to that. Because I know sometimes, certain actors and directors have certain type of movies they do. So what made you get to that?
So, okay. So growing up, I loved Transformers. I loved all the action movies. One of my favorite actors is Jason Statham. He's a great actor. I watched all his movies, and growing up watching that, I was like, man, that would be really cool if I can just put myself in that situation, just kind of like be like the next James Bond and just, do all that cool stuff. So when I made that first film with my best friend, he's actually the co-founder with me with the brand Radium Films, Aniel. I kind of envisioned myself in that situation. The graphics are really cheesy at the time, so it's out there. Intense Battles. I actually remade that film recently called Intense Battles Reloaded. It's on Amazon Prime, but that just seeing the action, that's my favorite genre. I just loved all the explosions and all that stuff. This was really cool. So I kind of stuck with that. I feel like, just in general, just action, maybe thriller. That's like, I feel like that's my what I feel most comfortable with. But just in general, growing up, seeing all those movies, and especially Transformers, and those are my favorites. So I just wanted to kind of put myself in those characters' shoes and be like, man, I just fought a big giant robot today. That, how was your day? So, but other than that, I'm working on expanding the genres that I do. So normally I do a lot of action, maybe some thriller, but I'm trying to expand on my, just different genres, trying out different things. Like I just did a drama called Wrong Place, Wrong Time, with the director Jose, and we worked on that. I mainly edited the film, but just overall, just trying to branch out and just seeing where I feel most comfortable working on, and just overall. Saw a lot of movies growing up, and I just wanted to be feel like I was a part of that community, and that's where it all started. Just love the action thriller, and that's my main thing.
That's one thing I love. I love thriller movies too. Definitely, that's another thing that I like to do. And I'm just trying to make sure, because I want to make sure that they can contact you. And I'm getting your website here as well. But I was going to just ask you too, what would you give advice to, people that are thinking about what you're doing? What kind of advice would you give them?
So some of the greatest advice I had getting into this industry was from, another good buddy of mine named David Grayson. He's actually helps produce some of my films. And just in general, just the people around me that support, my support circle, some of the biggest things of advice that they've given me that I want to give to others, especially at such a young age group, and through experience so far, being your age and trying to make films, especially, you have to work really hard at it. That's number one. And the reason why that's important is because since you're so young, a lot of people aren't going to instantly take you seriously. That was a given for me. No one really took me seriously in the beginning until I made that film. I helped that film. I edited that film, and it won awards for best trailer and best film. Then that's when they started taking me seriously. Like, okay, that guy, he's serious. So number one rule that I have is just take yourself seriously, especially as a younger actor, actress, producer, however, whatever skill set you have, take yourself seriously and just show that in your work, because that's the only way to really gain the respect that you want in this industry and just in life in general, from what I've realized. The second thing is, if you're trying to get into this industry, I seriously advise have a backup plan, have a full-time job, because that's the most important thing. It's not a steady industry, and that's okay. Work comes, work goes. You get some gigs, and most important thing is that you come home every day and you love what you do. Because if you don't, it's going to drive you insane. It's going to be endless hours, editing films that you're stuck with. But as long as you love what you do, it's not really work, they say. Third thing is, most importantly, keep your circle, have a good support circle. And that's a harder one, because depending on the certain person's situation, everyone's situation is different. But if you can just, maintain a good support circle to help motivate you and push you through it, that's super helpful. And the fourth thing, this is probably the most important one, is make your own content. I forgot about that one. Make your own content. And the reason why, especially for the younger filmmakers, is that it's really, really, really hard to get into this industry. And as long as you make your own content, you'll always have your name going out there. That was my thing. Like I said, I'm nowhere where I want to be now, but I'm very grateful for where I am now. But because I made consistent content throughout the years, and you can see that on my resume, that's what kept my name, out there. As long as you're not working on anything, you're not really going to get that recognition. My uncle, we were having a conversation the other night, and he was telling me one of the biggest things in life is what's next. And he was telling me, there's a music artist, my cousin's best friend, Tony. He makes a ton of music, and it doesn't matter. So you can make tons of music. Let's say you make, for example, films. You can make 50 films. So all it takes is that one to blow up. Just like, the music artist. Also, that's what happened with me. If you see my resume, there's 60 films on there. But one of them just recently blew up. So just keep on swinging the bat. Eventually, at some point, you're gonna hit a home run. It's gonna be that one. Just keep on, making content, putting your name out there, and just being consistent. Consistency is the number one key for making films in this industry.
Those some good golden nuggets, Matthew. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I like what you said about being around people that's going to uplift you and motivate you and be there for you. I mean, really, and I'm saying that like that, really be there for you. Because I know you and I probably both, and all of us, has been, you really thought one person was really there to say, hey, you're doing a good job. And then you find out that same person wasn't like the one that was the right one, or they said something or did something or whatever. And you're like, really? I really thought you was in my corner. So you have to be, you have to be very careful with that, because I always say, this is your baby. This is your passion. This is your love. And, when people start spruiking, they do that sometimes. You're like, well, Matthew, you don't have to stay up all night doing cutting videos. And in your mind, you're like, okay, I get what you're saying, but this is what I'm doing. And this is my passion. And I have to work hard. And then you went into consistency. You have to be consistent in anything. So you brought up so many good, like I said, golden nuggets for people to really think about if they're trying to do this career that you're doing, or any career. I mean, you have to, and like you said, you could be, And the other thing, a lot of people be like, well, I've been doing all this for all these years. And then all of a sudden, boom, like you said, that one thing makes it big. So
Absolutely.
that shows you right there that you just have to keep it moving. You got to keep doing stuff. So, Matthew, this has been such a pleasure and an honor for you to be on the
Yes, thank
show.
you.
Oh my God. So I know I asked you, to tell some things, help people. But what I usually do with my guests too, I kind of go down for like maybe 20 seconds. And I just want you just to give, any lasting ideas or thoughts that you have for the listeners. And then I'll come back up and we can close at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So the last thing, I just want to say again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Barbara, for allowing me on this show. Check out radiumfilms.com. That is my company website. Slowly but surely expanding to my new brand associated with Radium Films. It's called Silva Pictures. The main reason for that is because when I made Radium Films at the time, I thought it's a really great name. But a lot of people call me Ryan because of it. So Silva Pictures is going to be coming into the films eventually. So back to the point, radiumfilms.com, become a member, sign up, it's free. Message me on Radium Films, the Instagram account. Reach out to me on radiumfilmscasting@gmail.com. If you're interested in auditioning for a film, send headshots, send a reel, your resume, and let's get together. Super excited to work with everybody. Again, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Matthew. I hear echoes. That's probably my mic. But see, he just said if you send in information, you just might get chosen. So if you don't do nothing, like I always tell people, I'd rather hear a no from somebody than not me to do the action to hear the no. And I help people understand that. That means that you did something, you took action. You said, I'm going to try to do it. I want to see what happens. And that's all you can do. And all a person can say is, well, no, not right now. I know some people say you're going to hear 7 no's, and then you hear a yes. So you never know what's going to happen. Just do it. Just send it. Matthew's here. He just told you. And I always get on them, Matthew. I always get on listeners. I'm like, you're always talking about, well, why can't I get this and that? I said, did you take action? Did you listen to my experts? Did you listen to my special guests? Did you get their information? Stuff like that. That will kind of help get to that next level. Absolutely. So, Matthew, I would love to have you on again and work with you more. And I mean, this is going to be a wonderful relationship and an honor again for bringing you on the show. And again, I'll just let everybody know that if you are interested in being on the Diamond Factor Experience show, just reach out to me. And you can go to my website, www.barbarabeckley.com. It's real easy. It's my name. You don't have to think of the Diamond Factor. It's just Barbara Beckley. And we can just make that happen. And, you meet people just like this wonderful young man right here, Matthew. So, Matthew, thanks again. And we will see you soon. And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. You too, Barbara. Thank you so much.
I'm hanging on your every word. The love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound. So when you do, my feet won't touch the ground.
Yes, and yes, I told you this was going to be epic. So now what we need to do, what I need to do, you don't have to do it, I got to do it, is I'm going to do reposting of this interview from Matthew if you didn't see it this morning. I know a lot of people like, well, I'm in California, whatever, it's 6 something in the morning. You know what? There's no excuse. This is going to be reposted. You are going to see this. I want to make sure you meet Matthew through this interview. He is amazing, awesome. triple threat. I keep saying that, triple threat, and a celebrity, and he has a heart of gold. He wants to help people. He wants to, give that knowledge that he has, and also you might have opportunity of being in one of his epic movies that's coming out. Yes, yes. The only thing I asked Matthew, I do this with everybody when I'm a celebrity, just buy me a ticket. When you get to that big stage and they get you and you get a Grammy or an Oscar or whatever, all I ask, I don't have to even sit in the front because I know Kimberly and them are going to be there, the family. But if I could be way back, in the balcony somewhere, I just want to be in the room. I just want to be in the room. So, Matthew, I'm just putting a shout out there real quick. If you could just give me that ticket, I'll pay for the plane ticket, all that. All you got to do is give me the ticket. But I truly appreciate you, Matthew. And Laura, thank you for coming on this wonderful Thursday. We will be back tomorrow. We have our expert in finances, Mrs. Tracy Brooks. She's going to be bringing that, giving us some knowledge and some skills about upping your money. It's all about that, right? All around what you're trying to do, it takes money. It does. You can have your knowledge and your wisdom, which you can use that to build your money, but you need some tips and tricks on how to do that. So Tracy's going to come on and tell us that. Then I have another wonderful special guest coming on that I'm really happy. She's part of the Comeback Champion Conference that's coming up in October. There's like over 100 speakers that's going to be on there. There's going to be some big, talented, big speakers on there. And guess what? I'm a part of that too. I'm going to be one of the speakers that's going to be part of that, that conference as well. And Miss Wendy, she's coming on tomorrow. She is also a part of that. So we'll be talking to her. We'll begin to know her background. She's an author. She's a speaker. I know she's a nurse practitioner. She has her own business. And the list goes on. The list goes on. I told you, I bring the heat. I bring the heat so you can get to know these people, know that you can do it too. This is not just, they're doing their thing and I'm back in the background. No, this is you. This is me telling you that I'm always talking about your PPD, your purpose, your passion, and your drive. It's so important to have that. And that's why when I interview or when I have conversations, I like to say that, with people, that I really get to know who they were before they got to a certain point. So you know that you can do it too. Like we were talking about earlier with Matthew, we're lighthouses to the world. We're saving lives. And people really, they be like, saving lives, but I'm like, yes, you're saving lives because you're saving their dreams and their opportunities to say, hey, I can get to that point just like you did. So when you put yourself out there and you tell your stories, and not just the good stories. I know there's been I know Matthew and I and everybody else been through some like, oh my God, moments, but we kept it going. Like he said, be persistent, be constant in what you're trying to do. And if you stop, if something that really shakes you up so hard that you stop, you might have to rethink what your purpose is. Because I know one thing, there's been a lot of things hit my way this last year and this year, especially for everybody in the world, and that's a pandemic. But it didn't stop me from coming on the show. It didn't stop me to say, I need to still bring people to the show. It didn't stop me from helping people to get their visibility out there through their social media, through interviews and stuff. It didn't stop me. In fact, it pushed me even more to say I have to grind even better so I can make sure that other individuals get what they need so people can get to know who they are. So when something even pushes you even more, that gives you an inkling, that gives you an idea that is your purpose and you just stand on that. When what I always say, when all the earthquakes and the pandemic and everything around you is going all crazy, you keep that purpose, that PPD that you have in you to push you forward. And I call that what I call it, the diamond factor. And that's in your life. So see us again tomorrow and 8 o'clock Central Time. I always do this. 9 o'clock Eastern Time, what I always say, figure out all the other times, because that's a lot. That's a lot. But those two main ones I always give you so you know exactly where to come right here and come into the Diamond Factor Experience with Barbara Beckley, experts and special guests. And believe me, we will give you awareness, educate you, and motivate you. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow morning.